Well, this month was a failure. Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I am going to be doing my April wrap-up, and we will get back to why I am saying this month is a failure. And if you watch my April TBR, you already know exactly what I mean. So the first thing I finished this month was Leviathan Falls by James S.A. Corey. This is the final book in The Expanse, and I am finally done with my Expanse journey. This is a series that I started roughly a year ago. I think I looked and it's almost a year. I think it was 11 months or 13 months, one month on either side. And man, what an experience that was. I'm glad to be done with it. It was time, but I really did enjoy the series. There's there's a lot of stuff that I will always remember about The Expanse. It did give me my second favorite book of all time. So, I mean, I've got to be pretty happy there. I did actually end up doing a video ranking all of The Expanse. So you can check that one out if you want to. And actually the last bit of The Expanse that I read after finishing Leviathan Falls was the novella that comes after Leviathan Falls. It's called The Sins of Our Father. This was a short novella. I gave it 3 stars. It's not really a story that I needed. It follows a character that I think, and I mentioned this in that tier video, the tier ranking video, that, I think this is a character that a lot of people had questions about, kind of wanted to get some clarity about, some, just they wanted to know. And for me, I didn't really care. I didn't need anything from this character. So, as with most novellas, it was fine. It was good. It was really short, obviously. So, it was worth the read. I'm glad I read it, and I'm glad I'm actually done with The Expanse. After finishing The Expanse, I continued with my other long-running series, which is the Ian Fleming James Bond books, and that was with The Spy Who Loved Me, a completely different James Bond novel than any of the other ones I have read. I did a full review for that one, so you can check that if you want. I did end up giving it 4 stars, and it was a really just nice kind of change of pace. The James Bond books are James Bond. I think once you read a couple, you kind of have a feel for it, but this one is a real curveball. So, I'm glad I'm getting towards the end of these. I think, it's been a series that I've been reading for a long time as well. So I'm ready to kind of open up my reading for some new stuff at this point. Though this is a series that I hope ends on a strong note. I've heard that it does. But James Bond is James Bond, and I'm just going to keep moving along with that series. Speaking of long-running series, as I am trying to read through all of the Cosmere this year, I picked this handy-dandy thing back up and ended up reading through The Hope of Elantris and The Emperor's Soul. I did a 3-in-1 review for those and Elantris all together. I mixed them all into one. And, overall, Hope of Elantris, it's really hard to even talk about. It's so short. I really think it's 30 of these little tiny pages. So, there's not a whole lot going on. It was a fine, gave us kind of like a different POV. It really just felt like something that could have been in the book. But the story behind why Sanderson wrote it was kind of cool, which was also in here. So that was nice. And then The Emperor's Soul was actually my favorite piece of like the Elantris verse. And out of those 3, I thought the magic was really cool, and just some of the character interactions and everything, kind of like cultures clashing, all that kind of stuff was just really well done in that book. I gave both of those 3 stars. They're novellas. That's normally what I give a novella. And but you can check out my full review in that video. Staying with Brandon Sanderson, I also finished Warbreaker this month. This is a standalone. That's what I meant to say. It is a standalone, and I think this is a much better place to start with the Cosmere if you're thinking of getting into it than like Elantris or Mistborn, if you don't want that big of a commitment. This is a medium-sized fantasy book, and overall I think it's pretty well done. In my review, I mentioned that I gave it 4 stars, and I go into what I liked and didn't like. But for the most part, this was a fine addition to the Cosmere. Nothing has really blown me away yet. Even Mistborn, I liked Mistborn quite a bit. The first book in particular. And the magic systems are always really well done, except that's actually one thing I felt differently about in Warbreaker. But, I'm really waiting to get blown away. Mistborn was really solid, and maybe I'm just not giving it enough credit. But buying into the hype of Sanderson too much. But overall, Warbreaker was a nice entry into the Cosmere. So I'm actually filming this Thursday night, NFL Draft Night. Actually, I've got it on a screen over here so I can see if anything too crazy happens. It's been a little crazy. The Texans coming and getting the 2nd and 3rd pick is pretty wild. But with that being said, I am still making my way through this. I just got this from the library yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. So on Wednesday, I picked this up from the library, and so far, it's really good. It's probably in contention for my favorite novella, and I am, what, like 100 pages in out of 150 pages, or like 85 pages in, somewhere right in there. So, you know, I'm about right around halfway or a little over, and yeah, so far, it's been really good. I'm really enjoying it. This is my first Fond du Lis work, so, you know, it's kind of making me want to jump the Greenbone saga up a little bit more. I think this is also a really good palate cleanser for kind of what I'm reading now. You know, I'm reading a lot of like longer series and everything, and to just have like a nice, really small standalone is kind of nice to break it all up. And it's got a really fast pace. Like, we are moving along in the story. If this were a full-length novel, I think by the time I was at this point in the story, it would be like 400 pages into a normal, or maybe like 300 pages into a normal novel. So I'm glad we're kind of pushing through some of the stuff that, you know, if this were a full-length novel, I really want built out. But since I'm just kind of accepted that this is a novella, nice kind of palate cleanser, I'm really glad that this pace is just kind of like moving us through and getting us going. So yeah, so far, I'm really enjoying this. And I will end up finishing this by the end of the month, so that's why I'm including it here. You know, I might, well, with the draft tonight, I probably won't finish it tonight, but I will definitely finish it this weekend, and you can look out for a review. I think I will probably go ahead and do a review for this even though it's so short, because, you know, I'm enjoying it. Now, April was my overly ambitious month of reading, and that did include The Way of Kings. I didn't really think I could finish it. I was hoping if I had a really, really good reading month, I could, and I forgot to look. I think I am probably a third of the way through, something like that. So I'm making good progress. I definitely won't finish it this month, but I wanted to mention it because, you know, I'm in the middle of reading it. But so far, you know, I'm not in love with it yet. I'm not super far in. I'm still kind of getting a feel for the world and kind of what's going on and everything. But a sequence just happened where there was kind of like a battle with something, and that was really cool. So if we can get some more of that, and I have a lot of faith in Brandon Sanderson at this point to kind of deliver me a great story. So yeah, not too far into The Way of Kings yet, but yeah, it's really starting to pick up, and so I can really see why people are enjoying it, or do enjoy it. I started this off with saying this month was a failure, and that is because of this book right here. This book, The War of Light and Shadows, Book 2, The Ships of Merior by Janny Wirtz. I challenged myself to get to page 500. That was my goal for this month. And technically the month isn't over yet, but knowing myself, I don't think I'm going to make it to page 500. I did read more. I am now on page 165. So I got a ways to go to even get to my 500 page goal, let alone finishing it. Once again, I don't know what it is. I really like the book when I read it, even when I'm confused. And the previous section that I just read, I read a big section of it the other night, and I was really confused. There was some stuff going on that just goes right over my head. Part of that is the writing style. It's very unique. It's not like anything I've ever read. So, you know, that it's definitely a steep learning curve, and to really get into a flow for it, it can take some time, especially when the magic starts to get involved. It's very nebulous and just kind of out there. So yeah, I'm gonna try to be better and finish this next month, but I'll mention that in my May TBR. All right, and that's all for the books. I will go ahead and mention some of the manga that I'm reading now. I have mostly just been reading Vagabond recently. I haven't been reading too much manga. I am currently on chapter 270 of Vagabond. It is an interesting series. I probably will do a video on it at some point, but you know, there are parts of it that are some of the best I have read in manga, and then there are other parts where I am just like, whew, wish we could speed this up by about 10 or 15 chapters. But yeah, some of the stuff that's going on is magnificent. There's questioning of like identities and like, what does it mean to be X, Y, and Z? I don't, you know, don't want to spoil anything. But yeah, Vagabond is, I don't think it's going to go down as like a favorite of all time, like a top series, but it is definitely something I'm really glad I finally got around to reading. I don't really think I read too many other chapters of manga. I think maybe one or two of like My Hero and Black Clover. I will just mention that I am on chapter 384 of My Hero. I'm enjoying it. I'm kind of ready for My Hero to be done though. I feel the same way about Black Clover, which I am on chapter 356, and I'm definitely ready for Black Clover to be over. it's good, but man, I just feel like I wanted so much more out of this series. Didn't really get it. I think it's just kind of a fine shonen. So if it could, end within, I don't know, the next 50 chapters, I'd be pretty happy at that point. What else? Boruto, such mixed feelings. As much as I love Naruto and everything, Boruto is a completely different kind of series, and there's some stuff going on, but it's not a series I'm dying to, pay too much attention to. But I am on chapter 78 of Boruto. And then I didn't read any Vinland Saga if a chapter even came out. I didn't even check this month. I'm not sure. And I guess I will mention Berserk. I think we are getting some confirmation that we are finally going to start getting some more chapters, which is really exciting. Berserk is my favorite manga series of all time. It is awesome. I have read the oh gosh, I'm blanking right now. The Golden Age arc, or whatever it's called. I can't believe, I'm embarrassed that I just called it like my favorite manga series. I can't remember the arc name, but yeah, that is my favorite, and I'm really glad we're gonna get to that series. What was I saying? Oh, I was saying I had read that arc 5, 6, 7 times probably by this point. So to get moving again, it's kind of bittersweet without the original author, but it's time. I'm ready, and hopefully we can get to a resolution within the next couple of years. This has been a series that's been going on for so long. It would be nice to, get to the end of this journey, which I don't even know how we get to an end. What does an end look like? What is happiness in that series? So we'll see how that goes with Berserk. I wanted to mention a little bit of video game talk. I normally don't talk about video games too much, but I finally finished God of War 2018. Yes, super behind, super late. I normally get my games on Steam when they're like super discounted. So, I got that and have played it very slowly, probably over the course of like 8-9 months. And I will say the story is great. I really, really enjoyed the story. The gameplay, not so much. I was a really big fan of some of the original God of War games. Probably one of my favorite weapons of all time are the big lion fists you get, and I think it's God of War 3. And the combat in this new God of War with the axe just was not as fun. And there were some just mechanisms that they put into the game for the puzzles that just felt like they were to fill out the game with time. They were just padding time so that the game didn't feel as short as it was. Specifically, like, you have to throw the axe, freeze stuff, undo, I don't know. It just got annoying to the point where, why am I doing this other than to waste time? So that's kind of how I feel about it. Overall, I'll play Ragnarok at some point when it's on Steam on sale for like $15, like I did with God of War. I might just watch a playthrough too, though. I'm not sure. So, but yeah, overall, I definitely have some rose-tinted glasses on if I say this, but that might be my least favorite God of War game. And there's definitely probably some nostalgia baked in. So I don't know, that might be a little bit of a hot take. Last thing I'll talk about is what I've been watching on TV this month. I've just been kind of continuing watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Me and my girlfriend have been slowly making our way through it. I think we're on season 4, near the end of season 4. I don't know, it's a fun, silly kind of show that we both enjoy and kind of get a kick out of some of the funny stuff that happened. But I do really enjoy it. If you haven't watched it and you're into kind of like schlocky, I don't even want to call it horror, but like, horror, comedy, action kind of stuff, you should check it out. Especially the first season is, you might struggle. Some people apparently struggle through it. I liked it, but season 2 onward has been a big step up in everything. So that is what I've been watching. I haven't picked out another main series after I finished The Sopranos last month. I thought maybe Succession, Severance I think is another really popular one. I think I mentioned The Wire last time. I don't watch a whole lot of TV, so I'm still kind of thinking on it. And I'm sure I'll start something at some point. But that was my month of April. It was overall a pretty good month, even if I am going to say again, it was technically a failure. Unfortunately, I'm going to finish that book. I really am. But yeah, keep an eye out for my May TBR. That should be coming out sometime next week, and I hope you have a good one.